Hey, what's up everyone, and welcome back. Rick here again, and today I'm wanting to focus on a new aspect within Overwatch, and that is the focal point of the story missions and the upcoming story mode. And it seems to be the new driver that Overwatch and I guess Blizzard are going to be going for leading into Overwatch 2. Not leaving the PvP alone, but focusing a huge story aspect into the Overwatch world through the PvE modes. And so recently, Overwatch has had a statement from their lead writer leading that the story missions are going to be a more traditional way to build the universe of Overwatch. They're touting that the new 4-player story-based missions are going to kind of replace the what we've gotten used to with seasonal events and trailers leading into the Overwatch universe and having us learn more, and that this going forward is going to be our way of learning more about it and learning more about the characters of Overwatch and everything else. I believe in an interview, it was with PlayStation Blog, one of the lead writers stated that Overwatch 2 will have a complete story with a beginning, middle, and end. So it's not just PvE missions, side missions, kind of how a seasonal event's been. It is a full-fledged story associated with it. And in addition, they've finally moved the story forward after Winston's recall in the initial Overwatch opening. And they also hope to continue pushing the events into the future with, more stories to come. The writer also added that the story-driven component within Overwatch 2 is a response to a long-standing community desire to have, the Overwatch story and lore advance not only by gameplay, but with, cinematics and other media purposes as well. The writer acknowledged that the seasonal archives within the PvE events, so your Halloweens, your Winter Wonderlands, things like that, which I think began back in 2017, were mostly what they considered and what Blizzard actually considered a experiment, which was very surprising, and with story-driven content. So we learned about Overwatch and the lore in the world all through these events and through the small cinematics that we would get. And Lord knows Blizzard is phenomenal with their cinematics, as you can see, of course, in the video behind me. But it's wonderful that they've driven this far, and we've come to learn and love this universe thus far and these characters, and we just want that much more, and they're going to be giving that to us. Openly, Blizzard has also stated that the PvE maps within these story modes are going to be 2 times the size of a regular Overwatch map, which is incredible considering some of the scope and size of some of the maps already. And that's also going to be, of course, like y'all probably already know, new gameplay and story possibilities as well within these maps. The writer claims that they would like to call the story experience, or kind of the story itself, a story experience, not just a mode. It's not a single-player campaign that you're going to be playing a story alongside other 3 players, but it's a co-op experience. You're going to be playing with your friends, your clan mates, your guild members, whatever you want to call them. You're going to be playing alongside them and learning and experiencing more of the Overwatch world. At first I was kind of skeptical about this when they first announced that it's going to be PvE, and kind of taking away from the PvP aspect and changing theatrics of everything, because I love their trailers and their cinematics and everything else, but I do want to learn more about the Overwatch world. I know we know a ton about it already through the little bits that we've gathered, but this is going to be diving deeper further into it. But from the story mission that we saw, of course, I think it was the Rio de Janeiro mission at BlizzCon earlier at BlizzCon 2019. The biggest thing was that in the hands-on experience, you notice that the familiar heroes have enhanced abilities within that mode, or even different abilities altogether. And from what we're used to within Overwatch, that's a different thing. That's a different aspect, a different viewpoint from what it's going to be giving us. But playing, of course, with that set of locked-in heroes for 20-minute stretches against AI-controlled opponents at different difficulty levels at that, which is pretty impressive. It's hasn't been a big thing from what people are claiming from the archives thing. They're saying that doing those difficulty modes and everything else, they haven't learned that much from it, but you can see the character interaction and you can see the world building that they're putting into it as well associated with that. they, you know, within that same interview that I mentioned before with the writer, they went on to tell PlayStation Blog that the PvP and PvE progression are going to be entirely separate. So you basically are going to have two different games. You have your gameplay, your campaign with your PvE and RPG aspects of things with your abilities, and then the PvP progression with your bronze to platinums and diamonds and things like that. So basically they're wanting to keep the PvP additions of the hero out of arenas and PvP entirely and have it focus more on the PvE aspect of things. Meaning, of course, they don't want the gameplay changing, any type of, you know, talents or abilities to give any type of unfair advantage in the PvP arena, which is wonderful, and I'm very happy that they've already kind of addressed that issue or concern. So that said, you know, player progression in the original Overwatch, of course, will carry over, which is wonderful to hear. So, and players will have access, you know, in Overwatch 2 to all content they acquire in the first game. And similarly, you know, Overwatch players will get access to all Overwatch 2's PvP content with PvE story missions as well in the sequel. So, you know, with that said, I personally think this is an amazing concept that they're doing. It's almost like they're going to be completely building upon Overwatch with a Destiny-like feel. It started as a competitive game, a PvP only, with a lore built into it through cinematics and learnings and you know, special events and things like that. But with this going forward and them approaching it from what I've seen and read as well, they've had the different difficulty setups within these campaign modes that some of them are almost like a true strike within, you know, from Destiny. A very, very hard mode that the 4 individuals are barely able to get out of with, you know, any remaining health or even one surviving member at that point. It's very impressive for what they've done with ramping up the difficulty and the AI with their damage and their control as well, which is very cool. So personally, I think this is going to be a great idea. Like I mentioned, the Overwatch team has knocked it out of the park, I think, with the cinematics and the recent news and everything else coming out, especially with the announcement of upcoming new heroes and everything else leading into it. But I'm very excited to see what they can do. Very excited to see where Overwatch is going and going with the PvE mode. I'm excited. I can't wait. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. If you haven't already, liked that video and subscribe for future content like this. I look forward to speaking with you again. I'm excited. Let's bring it on. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good day.